This is Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. Make the time to subscribe. Now let's pull back those sheets.
Can we talk about the relationships? Can we talk it over, see how we can build? Only you and I know that's the way it goes. In this big old bed, they talk it over, so talk it over. Can we talk it over? We can talk it over. Can we talk it over in bed? Talk it over. Can we talk it over? Can we talk it over? Oh, in bed.
All right, yeah, it's your man K.I. from Bed-Stuy, and we have another amazing podcast this week for you up in here. This is Talk It Over. Talk It Over is the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed, and we have a newcomer in the building. We have some old repeaters back who I ain't seen in a minute, heard from in a minute. Glad to have you back. So let's welcome Carol to the podcast. Carol is from Brazil. How you doing, Carol?
Hi all, doing well. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. Give us the temperature in Brazil right now, literally and spiritually speaking.
Literally, I only know how to say it in Celsius, so like about 12 Celsius. I think that's in the 60s Fahrenheit.
Okay. Wow.
And yeah, the part I'm I'm at in the south, it's pretty chill. So yeah, good subtropical vibes around here, and drinking some good local craft beer, IPA.
Right on. That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, how are things as far as COVID concerned? Are you is everybody keeping their social distancing? What's the climate as far as that's concerned?
Well, in the rest of Brazil, it's pretty tense, right? We had some not so good decision makers, and someone who calls themselves president, like making bad decisions and stuff like that, denying and etc. Pretty sure you're familiar with that over there.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah, Bolsonaro and Trump are buddies. They're like mirror images of each other.
Yep, they're in lockstep. All right, and then we got Miss Nicole up in the building. Hey, Miss Nicole, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Hi, guys.
Yes, welcome back. We missed you.
Yes.
We missed that flavor. How's life? How's family?
Everybody's good, as long as my kids are good, I'm good.
That's what's up.
I'm quarantining alone, so I'm learning to reinvent myself in a lot of ways.
No doubt.
I'm good.
That's what's up. And we got brother Fonz back in the building. Fonz, yo, thanks for coming back, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Blessed to be back.
Yeah.
Humbled to be asked. So looking forward to the topic at hand.
All right, on. That's what's up. And of course, last but most certainly not least, my co-host Big O. Big O, what up?
Yes, sir. Always glad to be on.
All right. So as customary, we usually do the feel-good story of the day. And I actually didn't look up one for this, but because I just feel like the feel-good story is that we're all alive and well, right, under the circumstances of COVID and a lot of our social unrest and social injustice that we're confronted with. The fact that we're all here and well and everybody looks good, sounds good, that is a feel-good story as far as I'm concerned. Yes?
Yes, sir.
We can all agree?
Yeah.
Church.
Work with that?
Yes, sir.
That's right. Yes. So, because we're ready to jump in on this hot topic, and I'm glad that I have you all as my guest co-host to help us navigate through this. So let's look. Without further ado, Big O, what's our topic for today?
The topic for today is, what if the ex is still present? Ooh. I know this is gonna spark a lot of fires out here. I might keep quiet and just watch the fireworks on this one.
Still present how? Like they all
hey, we can go from
in it, or
it's for whatever, from everybody's at least heard this once. Oh, we just friends. Somebody's heard that. We've all heard that at least once. maybe not current situation, but maybe past situations, or we just friends, or we're friends now. But hey, in whatever capacity, it could be as something simple as saying, hey, they just send me Christmas cards every year with a picture of their family. Or it could be, why is the ex still contacting you at 10 o'clock at night, and y'all having hour-long conversations?
How about a Christmas card from them with their picture on one side of their family, and then like a picture of them wearing like a little Santa nightie on the other side?
Well, hey, from you asking me specifically, or we throwing that out to the?
I'm just saying. I mean, you know.
Let's throw that out to the group, because
is that how the ex is involved?
I say all scenarios, from the most involved to the least involved. If they're still present, how do you feel? And is it determined by what stage you are at with your significant other?
What about the question if children are involved?
Yeah.
Are we
throw it out there. Let's talk about it. What if the ex is involved and there's a child involved? What about it?
I mean, I think the first thing is, are you involved with someone else? Is your ex involved with someone else? But I think we all either experienced it or heard stories of sometimes exes using children to kind of maneuver their way back into a more intimate situation. And I say, look, if the two are not in a significant relationship with others, it is what it is. But just make sure that you go into these situations with your eyes wide open and realize that they're an ex for a reason, right? So, ask those questions and analyze that, and then the rest is to your discretion.
Look, Nikki.
So then what if? All right, because I want to dig deeper into this. Let's get into the meat. So what if, Alfonso, you find yourself dating someone, and they're like, they let you know ahead of time that the ex is still around? And what capacity would you feel comfortable going forward with that person? And in what capacity, if they're still around, would you be like, this ain't gonna work? If that's the relationship or the connection y'all still have, that's a no for me.
I think for me, man, it depends on the stage of the relationship for us, right? So if I'm dating this young lady, and it's a couple of weeks in the game, and she respects me enough to kind of let me know what it is, I'm open to continuing, right? But if I'm trying to build something serious with this young lady, and here and there I'm seeing or hearing different types of vibes that her ex is still in the game, then that's going to be a different situation that we're going to have to discuss. So I try to give people the benefit of their doubt, but at the end of the day, as things progress, it's going to be decisions that need to be made.
Context matters, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Nikki, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk from the perspective of as a parent and dealing with an ex. Sometimes it's necessary. I've been on the receiving end, and I've also been on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to having children and having to deal with an ex. I know for myself, any man dealing with me would have to understand that my children's father are in their lives, or were in their lives. They're both grown now, but as it pertains to, men that I would date or have dated in the past, I definitely say that I respect the fact that the mother and the father still have a relationship, because I want that for my own children. However, I guess it would depend on how much. Like, I had an ex that would still provide, for his child's mom, in all kind of circumstances, but he made me feel totally comfortable with it. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like there was anything going on the side, so I trusted that whatever he was doing for her was because he wanted to make sure that the child she was raising by him was okay. So I'm comfortable with that, because I would want any man that I have children with to make sure that I'm okay with their children. So unfortunately, she passed during COVID, but he gave me all of the respect in terms of the relationship. And that allowed me to mature as a woman also, because I was able to see that it can happen. You can coexist with an ex without it being, a big issue between you. I didn't have any issues with her. I'm sure she had, some little reservations about me, but I didn't worry about that because he made me feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So in the beginning, Nikki, so you out from the very beginning, it was established that that you all were in a relationship, and that his relationship with her wasn't going to interfere with what you all had.
Right.
That's good.
And I was comfortable with it.
That's good.
But
Some people will make you feel comfortable in that, and some
Right.
people will make you feel uncomfortable. Honestly, if you feel uncomfortable with it, then it's probably something going on. You know, if they're not transparent with the relationship, then it's something, it could be something else happening in front of your face, you know? But, you know, I've heard a lot of weird stories about exes, so I know it can go a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
Sure.
But let me ask you a question. Like, do you feel as though that he set boundaries? And so I think the two main things, at least that I heard and I would subscribe to, is setting those boundaries and making sure that the communication is open. Because you know, I'm not with my mother's child right now, but it is important for me to make sure that she's okay. Because if she's not okay, my kid is not okay. You know what I mean? But whoever it is that I'm dating subsequent to this relationship, I need to make sure that I'm creating those boundaries. I'm making sure that she feels comfortable. But, you know, best to know that I'm going to be speaking to this young lady for the rest of my life, or at least until my daughter, you know what I mean, grows up, on a daily basis. But it's boundaries and communication. That's what I say.
My story, I would say it's a bit different. There were no children involved, which I highly respect that you both allow your partners to have a relationship with your children and both the people you are with, because I feel like that's really important, right? It's a level of, it tells who they are as a person as well, right? That they want to continue providing and so on. In my case, I got together with my ex. I'm on my early 30s, and I've been married once and on my way to the second marriage. But we got together, my first husband and I, when I was 19. We dated for a few years, and we were married for 2.5, so quite young. And in that case, we're good friends. It was first a mutual decision to break up because we wanted different things of life and explore different things. So, but also respect that we grew up together, right? Who we were as adults. So we value each other as people, as persons. So we couldn't see ourselves without like not being in touch at all. He's been with another girlfriend for 5 years now, and we see each other every now and then. We live in different cities. We stay in touch, like birthdays, like very casual things, like a friend, right? But for me, it's really important, and it tells a lot about how I value him as an individual and as a person. And my current partner really respects that. And we're even like, we're trying to plan, let's see, after COVID and everything, plan our wedding October next year. Like, I asked him, are you okay with me inviting my ex-husband? He's like, yeah, of course, you're friends, you have friends in common, but I don't want him giving a toast at the wedding. Other than that, I'm cool. So yeah, setting those boundaries. And
I also think as a single person, right? So now I'm single. My kids are grown, I'm single. I would have to, dealing with anybody that doesn't have children, I would definitely have to say that the dynamics for that relationship might change for me. Because even though I'm friends to a lot of my exes, I know that I'm not intimate, or I'm not trying to redevelop any of those relationships. I can handle that, but a lot of people are not that mature where they can say that they're dealing with their ex and nothing else is going on. So for me, you know, I would have more reservation now that I'm single, dealing with somebody who's dealing with their ex, than I would have, you know, had probably if they had children and things like that. It would be a little bit different for me.
Wait. Can I back up? I just want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. So you said when you dealt with exes, you knew it was on the level, and that, you know, now were you ever in a situation where your significant other was like, hey, I'm just uncomfortable with that whole situation, even though you know that there's nothing going on other than just like a platonic connection or whatever? Did the significant other feel some type of way to where, or were you ever in a situation where it didn't work because they couldn't get over that connection?
No, but I have been in situations where I have a lot of male friends,
Mm-hmm.
and my man might have been intimidated about the friendship. You know, one of my best friends is a guy, so
but not an ex. This is a friend.
not an ex, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
I never had the experience with an ex, so I can't speak on that.
Okay. All right. All right.
Well, Big O, do you have anything? What do the experts say? Do we have any data?
Ooh, come back to me in a couple of minutes. Let me go back out there. Keep it batting around.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, any advice from anybody to our listeners as to how to navigate that, right? Obviously communication, right? And how you effectively communicate, right? So, again, Nikki, your story is probably one of the rare ones that I've ever heard of where it really worked out. What would you say was the key to having that be so successful?
Transparency, communication, and trust.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, every relationship is about risk. So, you have to go into it believing in the person that you're with. They have to be honest about what they're doing and be able to answer any questions you have about, the relationship they have with your ex, and take it from there. Whatever shows up for you is going to show up. Like if you feel like you trust them, you're going to get the vibes of trust. If you feel like that person is cheating or going behind your back and doing something, you're going to get those vibes too, and you need to go with it more than likely.
Let me ask the group this question. What if you trust your significant other, but you just don't trust the ex? How do you approach that?
So meaning in what scenario? Because I've had, well, not that I've had it, but I've had something similar being said, not so much as an ex thing, but we can get into that later. But what do you mean, Fonz, when you say you don't trust their motivations?
Yeah. So, well, let's say, for example, let's use you as an example. Let's say you're dating someone, right? And you things are going pretty good. And you yourself have no intentions of getting back with your ex. That ship has sailed. But your ex still may have some remote feelings about you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, what happens if the young lady that you're with
starts
trusts
picking up
you
on
completely, but picks up on that? How do you handle that situation?
So I think, and this since you threw it in my court, me personally, this is, again, we're not dating matter experts. This is not the correct way. This is just Big O's way as he currently stands. I feel like, one, I need to definitely be clear on what it is my lady is picking up. Like, what signals are you picking up that I may not be aware of? What is it that what vibes are you getting that I'm not picking up, right? And once I'm clear on that, I can go to, I guess, that the X situation with a broader perspective. And if I feel like, because, my significant other could be mistaken, but if she's not, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say, all right, she's vibing on something that I'm not. So let me kind of let me try to match myself to what it is she's seeing. And if I start to pick up on those same vibes, then it's on me to make it clear to my ex, like, hey, if we cannot keep these boundaries, or if it's too difficult being around me to respect the relationship I have, then we can no longer have this connection. We can't have this connection. Like, it has to go, because I'm with someone else at this point in time. And so I have to put that person ahead of the ex connection. Now,
so one of our previous, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off, Big O. One of our previous podcasts, we spoke about priority, right? So it's a matter of prioritizing that relationship that you're currently in, right?
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is, now let's flip it and say that, after I speak with my current significant other, and maybe, like I said, maybe she's off, maybe she's wrong. And let's say that is the conclusion I come to, that she's completely wrong. It is still kind of on me, like we just said, to prioritize. Like, she may be wrong, but if that's hindering our ability, and I really care about this person, and I want to be with this person, or I see a future with this person, if the connection I have with the ex is hindering our ability to grow or get to that next level, then yeah, again, it's on me to go ahead and say, look, I got to sever this connection, because I'm over here now. And I've been in that situation. I've been on both sides, actually. where an ex had to tell me like, hey, we're on the level, but I'm currently with someone else and they are not comfortable with the connection we have. So, and she was respectful about it and I understood. I was like, you know what? I'm not here to cause anybody problems at all. I don't want to cause anybody to have a relationship is hard enough. I don't need to be in between anybody else's relationship, making them feel uncomfortable about a situation. So I'll just, you say no more. I'll gracefully bow out. I'll back away. We don't have to keep the connection. I wish you the best with your new partner. And I've also been on the other side where I've been uncomfortable about an ex, and I made it very clear. And it was like, these are some of the boundaries that, for me, this boundary is not respected, or if it is what it is, then I won't be around. And so it was on the person I was seeing with at the time to make that decision, right? What do you prioritize?
This is the Bushwoman, aka Najami Lazama, your personal development awareness life coach, and you're listening to Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. Now back to the show.
So for our listeners who just joined us, you're listening to Talk It Over. Talk It Over is the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. And Big O, what's our topic? What are we talking about?
We're talking about if the ex is still present, the 7 deadly sins, X being number 1.
What about?
Yeah, but I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I think we're on the same path.
The ex, if let's say family has still a connection with your ex, and their social gatherings, right?
And that's tough.
Yeah, and that their social gatherings.
Now, do you still have a connection, or it's just your family? You don't have a connection with the ex,
right,
only the family.
You don't really have a connection to your ex, but your family,
family does.
Right? Let's say it's an ex-husband or wife, and you've been married for a long time, and their social gathering, right? Their traditions, their events that just this person has become a staple of these events. Right?
I got to question my family. I got to question my family's motivation. That's what I'm like, hold on, wait a minute.
Right. Whose side are you on?
Whose side are you on over here? Like, hold on.
I mean, but what if, to your point, right? Like, let's say that ex has been in your life for a significant amount of time, 10 plus years, right? And they've just grown so close to the family.
And vice versa.
Is it? Yeah, exactly. So is it fair to the family? Just because the relationship ended, that they also have to, right? But to your point, right, it could put you in a really, really crazy situation, right? Family gatherings and things of that nature. So, and
then let's throw in the mix that the ex still has those feelings that you talked about before, Alfonso. Let's throw that in the mix too. Family keeps bringing it around, making the situation tense. Your significant other's like, why is that person here? You got nothing to say because it's not your event. You're like, I don't know. My family threw this event. I'm showing up to support my family, and they obviously invited so and so.
Yeah.
And your significant other is like, well, I don't, I'm picking up on vibes. That's a whole world where I'm grabbing my plate and I'm gone.
Exactly. and plus, not only that, the new lady in your life is trying to establish a relationship, right? So how does that work with the family? So how does that, to your point, right? Either you grab a plate and be out, or you just don't show up. I don't know. I don't know what that answer is.
I think I become the host. I start inviting.
I've been
Go ahead, Nikki.
So many times, honestly, I usually have a lot of, the family usually loves me. I've never been in a situation where the family was like, Nikki, they always revered me and I revered the family. So I think, there's a moment of, maybe the person might participate for a minute because they're so used to the family, and then eventually it will wean off. It wouldn't be like the person is doing it to intentionally get at you at the meeting. Of course, there's sometimes feelings involved in all of that, but I mean, what does it mean when a man that you want is with another woman? It means that they don't want you. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to kind of deal with that. But I've been in plenty of situations like that, and everybody knew who I was, and the woman knew, and I never went with any intentions of trying to get the man back or anything. But I was just so used to the family that I was, participating in events and things like that. not in a malicious way, Olin. And I would hate for you to have to take your food from your own family.
Yeah.
I would
Have my plate ready to go.
I would but sometimes it happens, and eventually it dies out. It dies down, unless the woman is just straight up vindictive or the guy is straight vindictive and they just are trying to sabotage your relationship.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like my family is really close to my ex, but not inviting or anything. But it's also like setting boundaries, right? That's really important. And my family, like, though they care about him as a person, I mean, they're in touch in social media and comment on his things and etc. And it's been 5 years since we split up, right? But I feel that tells a lot as well that, like the people I choose to be my partners and to be married to are nice people, are good people, that my family still wants to be in touch with them, right? But also I would say setting boundaries, not only with the ex, but with the family, right? Like being important about that. Like now I'm with someone new, so you got to respect and try to get to know this person, and also give this person a chance. Like they will grow into you like my ex did, right? Like I'm choosing them. I want to spend my life with this person, so give them a chance.
I'll share a real life story on my end with this situation. So this is when I was in my early 20s, and I pretty much, I think someone else said, I think it was you that said, the first significant relationship, you guys kind of grew up together. So obviously I got really close with the family. And, because I was young, I was in my 20s, I was feeling myself. A relationship with this individual wasn't my priority at the time. And she made the decision to end that. And then most cases, right, when you lose something, you start to realize that you really want this back. And she wasn't feeling me at that time. So I actually took it upon myself to leverage the relationship that I had with the family to try to get that person back. Wow. And, so that's something that's real out there. I've actually done it.
Yeah.
So I guess
growing pains.
It depends on the motivation, right? But there
how
are
did it
people
work
out
out
there.
How did it work out?
Well, the mother, it's so funny that you say that. The mother still loves me. Actually, today's her birthday, and I'm about to text her, not because I want to get back with my ex, but just because
right.
I had that relationship with
the
her
respect.
For at least 20 years now. But I'll let you know, man, in all honesty, I was hurting back then. I was trying to use everything possible to kind of get that leverage. So.
Now, what advice would you give to our listeners in that instance? Like, if you had to go back and do it all over again, would you have done what you did? Right? No judgment, no right or wrong.
Yeah.
Just a teaching moment. Like, how do we assist others in maybe learning from mistakes that we made or decisions that we made that now, and with the benefit of hindsight, we would have done something different?
I would have just let it go and not showed up to any events or anything.
Yeah. I think for me, man, I think really trying to assess my motivation, right? I don't even think it was me really wanting to get back with her. I think it was me trying to control the situation. Exactly. My ego was, right? Like, what do you mean you don't want to be with me anymore? Like, you know what I mean? I was the center of your world for X amount of years. Now someone else is taking my place.
Right.
I can't have that, right? So I'm almost happy that it happened this way, because chances are, if we would have rekindled, I probably would have repeated the same thing, right? Once I got her back, my ego was good. I probably would have been doing my own thing. You know what I mean?
So then our teaching moment then inside of this is actually that introspection, right? Like, what's my motivation? Like, why am I really?
So along the lines of that, right? Let's that introspection can go both ways. Not so much where you're the ex, but also trying to figure out where, if you find yourself with a significant other who does have a connection with the ex, and you find yourself being jealous and insecure, introspecting that as well. Where is that coming from? What is it that I'm picking up on? And is it something I'm truly picking up on, or is it something that I am creating? Like was said earlier, if nobody wants to jump in, I can go to what the experts say.
Yeah, please.
So right now I'm on, interesting enough, brides.com. tips for dealing with a partner's ex-spouse. And this is obviously for brides.com. You're at one of the penultimate relationship statuses, which is marriage or getting ready to be married. So you've definitely made that determination that this is where you want to be for anybody that's visiting this page. So they're coming from the standpoint of someone who might be married or approaching marriage. First off, remember that you both have a past. Everyone has a past. And even if you haven't been married before, significant amount of people and partners from earlier in these relationships can be just as meaningful. Do not go down the road of thinking that the ex is a threat to you in any way. Chances are you have your own exes and you know your partner has no need to be worried about them. So if you feel yourself or being jealous, you can talk to your partner about the issue, not in an accusing way, just sharing the fact that you're struggling. But also remember that if your exes are no threat, theirs shouldn't be either. They talk about the best tip again for an ex-spouse is, or when now they're saying spouse, opposed to significant other, is to try and contain your jealousy. They're saying they even go as far as talking about how with in America with a divorce rate hovering around 50%, there's a good chance that you or your partner have been married before. And that's totally fine. One of you having been married before doesn't keep you from having your own fairy tale, as they put it. They say be realistic about their role in your life. Try not to focus on how much they're actually going to impact your relationship. If necessary, take the high road. If this one's interesting, it says occasionally, if your partner's ex is genuinely problematic, maybe they're not over your partner, maybe they're not stable or happy, and they're throwing microaggressions, then the advice that they recommend is try your best not to engage, not to take the bait. Feel like they're impacting your relationship, then, you know, they even go as far as saying maybe find a good therapist, find a couples therapist if the dynamics are way too intense. Get a professional to help take on the situation. And again, this is coming from the standpoint of already being married or going towards marriage. I'm not sure how much this advice, and I'm sure it's good advice, but let's say you find yourself in the beginning stages of a relationship. You know, these are things that
I was going to ask
get
that.
Out of the way earlier.
Like, would you cultivate or nurture or try to cultivate and nurture a relationship with someone who hasn't gotten over their ex? Would you try
no.
to be, like me personally, I'd cut that off. Like you're not ready to be in a relationship at all if you can't sever the ties from a previous relationship, right? You can't get into a present situation with the
And even going deeper than that, it's going deeper than that, and it's the same thing, is you're not even ready to be in a relationship. Say the ex isn't even present, but you don't even want your ex, but you're still healing from the trauma that was inflicted, the emotional trauma that you endured in that relationship. That's going to carry on if you haven't healed from that into the next relationship. And a lot of people don't realize that. I found myself in that situation many years ago where I didn't know it at the time. I was still dealing with issues from a previous relationship that was coloring how I acted out in the current relationship. And not from an ex standpoint, but just like, you got to be able to heal from stuff before you're ready to be in another.
I mean, you're not ready to be in either one of those, right? You're not ready to be in the one from the past or present, and potentially any future relationships. If you're courting or dating, again, the reason that this podcast and ultimately the dating show was created is to address and ask questions that we never really think about until it's a problem, right? So we find ourselves courting someone or beginning to date someone, and we realize that person has not gotten over their previous relationship, right? To me, that's a sure sign that that person is not ready to be in a relationship at all, right? They need to really do that introspective work it takes to first of all, be in a relationship with themselves. You can't be in a relationship with someone else if you can't identify the things that you need to correct and fix within your own person.
The signs will be there, though. The signs will be there.
Right. So do you adhere to the signs, or do you adhere and say, no, I'm stopping this. I'm going to put a stop to this?
Instinctual, yes. But some people are in relationships that really, even if you pass that stage and the person is still dealing with their ex, some people, sometimes the other person is just straight up insecure. You know what I mean? They can, be walking down the aisle with you and still be insecure about someone else. Some people are really not mature enough to handle the relationship of the ex with somebody, with the person that they're with. They're just not mature enough. So sometimes if you love that person enough, you might have to even cut that relationship off because it's interfering too much with your lover or your mate, you might have to cut it off.
Yep. So that was the question. So do you cut it off? So Nikki, you say you cut it off. Carol, do you cut it off or do you continue?
I think it depends. Like the extreme that Nicole is saying, if you're bound to get married and you care like about your current partner so much and it's something that hurts them, I would cut it off. But if something coming out of ego and pure jealousy and there's nothing there with the ex, I would try to address it more, right? See where it's coming from.
What do you say, Fonz? Do you continue or do you try to work through it or do you cut it off?
It's hard, man. It just depends, man. I don't think there's a right answer for, every situation, but I think again goes back to, you internalizing and understanding kind of where things are and making the best decision for you at that time.
Sure. What do you say, Big O?
So for our listeners, repeat the question, and for me, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah. So
repeat the question.
Like if you find yourself with someone who is still fixated on their ex, do you cut that potential relationship off, or do you work with them? Do you go down the rabbit hole and do some of that?
Nah, I'm not going down. I'm not going down the rabbit hole. There's too many people out here for me to have to deal with an ex situation. If you can't give me your full attention or intention, then
what if the loving is just great? It's supreme, and you're like, wow, listen, the loving is.
All right, so I'm gonna put it like this, and this is something I read: staying with someone or marrying someone because the sex is good. It's like buying a 747, an airplane, a Boeing 757 because you like a favorite seat. Like, nah. You know how much it's gonna take to keep that plane operational just because you got a favorite seat?
Yep.
Nah, I'm good. Honestly, be real with you, I don't want nothing that damn that powerful. If she that powerful, nah, I definitely getting out the way.
Can't handle it anyway, right?
No, because you're not gonna have me staking out your house at 4 a.m, hiding behind the bushes, trying to find out where you are.
But that level of dysfunction, you don't even know that that's dysfunctional, right? You think that that's normal, standard operating procedure behavior when you covet something to that degree. But Nikki,
right? Anybody can drive me to that point.
Yeah,
not good for me. Not good for my health.
I was just wanting to say that sometimes people don't always share with the person that they're with that they still have relationships with their ex as well. So sometimes to protect the person, they don't even let them know that they're in touch with that person, That
might be a problem. That might be a bigger problem.
That's a whole other.
I've done that plenty of times, like had a relationship, and I don't mean an intimate relationship, I mean just a friendship with somebody on the side, and it really didn't interfere with my relationship with the person that I was with. But you don't want to share it with the person because the person has their own insecurities. If I told him, he would think that I'm still trying to get at this person or something like that. So sometimes people don't always necessarily even tell their mate that they're still, friends with their ex.
Is that healthy?
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that kind of not giving them the opportunity to grow within themselves?
I mean, I just feel like, at the end of the day, like relationships are the risk, right? If you have people that were in your life that relationship wise that have, stuck with you through difficult situations and you built up a level of trust with them, you probably really don't want to get rid of them entirely out of your life just because you're in a new relationship. I mean, you just probably don't, What happens when the marriage or the relationship is over and then you lost a really good friend? You have to look at it from that perspective too. Just like everybody said, it depends. Well, that depends too. Like me,
I hear you.
Me not telling my mate about it might be, you know, for reasons of, you know, making sure, not just selfish reasons, but protecting that person, but also protecting my friendship with the person that I really think I value in my life.
Well,
How?
for me,
Yeah.
if it was a friendship, I'm like, yo, you know, do what you got to do. I'm still here. If that's a true friend, like they should understand. Like, hey, you know, I'm here regardless. Like, if you cut me off, we still gonna be friends. I'm still gonna have love for you. If we never speak again, that's not gonna change. That connection's not gonna change.
What about if that? What about if that situation, Nikki, that you described? What if that was a threat to the person that you're with? Like your ex is like, I'm gonna hurt him.
No, if you are keeping that relationship separate from the relationship that you're with, ideally the person really just never knows about it. You know what I mean? Honestly, I mean, it might not look like the best to you, but I definitely have had relationships with people that I was with, and I mean, my friend died of lupus. You know what I'm saying? And he was somebody that was my ride or die. And anybody that I was with, I would always have him in my life. You know what I mean? Because I knew that if anything ever happened to me, he was always going to be there no matter what. I invite him to all of the events, everything with my man and everything. But I knew Bobby was going to be there. Okay? Right. So nobody could ever take that away from me no matter what you tell me. That's going to be my friend forever. And I had a relationship with him, and he's an ex.
Did that ever create a problem in any of the relationships that you were in?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Yeah, then okay. All right. Cool. That's good. You have a look. So ladies, y'all need to get with Nikki. Y'all need to talk to Nikki because Nikki seems to have a lock on this. That a lot, not, you know what, not just ladies, anybody, you know, ladies, gentlemen, if you feel that you can't handle the ex, y'all need to catch up with Nikki because Nikki got it. She got it mastered. That's what it sounds like to me. So, you know, again, this is Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. You know, a lot of these questions or topics, we bring them up because once again, they are not a problem until they're a problem, right? And it's not the big things that does you in. It's always those little small in between things that you never really think about until you're in that situation and you're having to address it, right? So a lot of what we ask or topics that we bring up or questions that we ask are really built around those little in between questions that we never really think about until, you know, an issue arises. So what were we talking about again, Big O? What was the question?
The question, the topic we batting around is what if the ex is still present?
There it is. So we have about another few more minutes. I have there's a segment of the show that I wanted to bring up kind of impromptu right now, but I wanted to do something where we asked everybody, for our listeners, give us a fun fact about each one of you. Did Alfonso just run off? Alfonso's like, I ain't got no fun fact.
No, I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Yeah.
I can start. I always say when I'm like these icebreakers getting to know, I use the one that I've been married as a fun fact because, but I say one that I use as well that has surprised people is that I used to be in a punk rock band when I was in high school and I got kicked off the punk rock band.
What? You weren't punk enough?
Fun fact. Apparently not.
Wow. Now, why'd you get kicked out of the band?
Apparently, I was too much of a good singer for punk rock.
Wow. Nikki, you got one?
Comes to me last.
Okay. Fonz, you got one? You got a fun fact?
I hate these types of questions because it makes me feel like I'm not really a fun guy, right? Because it's so hard for me to think about these things. But I guess, you know, I was pretty good in basketball in high school and, you know, took my talents to be able to make my way all the way to college on a scholarship. So, you know, injuries, you know, maybe I could have went further than that. But outside of that, yeah.
Oh wow, that's a good fun fact, man, to know about you. No idea. Yeah. Right on. Big O, you got one? You got a fun fact?
Fun fact. I don't know if it's fun. It may not have been fun when. I guess a fun fact was I've been. This might scare people. I've been talking about injuries. I've been with a BB.
Oh,
With a
recently?
BB. Let me clarify that. With a BB, yeah, with a BB. Wasn't no firearm.
On purpose?
Yeah, you playing around. No, nobody was aiming at me like I'm gonna take him out and snipe. It was like
Oh, so you got a
roughhousing
BB
around.
still lodged in the back of that head.
Okay, so here's the fun fact of that story. It was lodged, and I was like, nah, I'm good. That thing bounced off. I'm like, nah, my best friend with me at the time was like, man, I don't know, man. You got a BB-sized hole in the back of your head, and it's not the hole that's bothering me. It's this lump that's about an inch away that's bothering me. Because I was like, I'm just gonna walk this off. I'm gonna go home, And he was like, nah, I think we need to go to the urgent care. And the X-ray showed that it was still there. Because I was like, I'm good, man. I'm gonna just go to bed. The doctor was like, nah, we got to get that out of there.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that, Olin.
Scary fun fact.
It is, yes.
All right, so I have a fun fact. So about I went to China, right? So we went on an excursion to go up to the Great Wall, but the wall is so vast that the touristy side was probably crowded. So these guys take us to a section of the Great Wall of China that didn't really have it was kind of dilapidated, right? So everybody's walking up in the group up the steps, to the first kind of like landing that might have been like, I don't know, maybe 20 stories maybe. So I walk up, the steps are really small, my feet are big. So I'm like being very careful walking up, but there were no rails to hold on to. It was just like, if you look over the steps, all you would see were trees on both sides. So I was walking up very carefully. So I get to the landing, and then they're like, and I'm thinking that I was at the highest point. So everybody is like, okay, now we're gonna keep going up. And I looked up, and I was like, I'm not going up there. So everybody kept going, and I turned around, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to go down. So when I looked down, I had an anxiety attack, and I was afraid to walk down the steps to get to the bottom of the Great Wall.
Wow.
So instead of walking, because I said the steps are very small, my feet are big, I'm clumsy, I felt like if I was going to walk down the steps, I was going to fall. So I literally sat my big behind on every step all the way down the Great Wall.
And walked it down. Wow.
Every step, I would not stand up. I was just so nervous that I sat on every step going back down from that 20-story part of the wall.
Wow.
But that was my fun fact.
Well, here's my fun fact. I like big butts. No, that's wrong. That's my bad. My fun fact, contrary to popular belief, is I really love kids. I love children. I love seeing them. I love watching them grow, but only from a distance. Like, they need to be 10 feet away and better at all times. But I love children. I have 5 grandchildren. I love them all. And every time I see children, I think that they personally belong to me. So that's a fun fact about me. All right. So with that said, I want to thank my guest, co-host, for coming on. I want to thank Carol for coming on for the first time. Carol, will you come back and join us on other podcasts?
For sure. This was fun.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So you're going to be one of our resident guest co-hosts from Brazil. Will you keep us posted on everything Brazil?
Sure, why not? I'm not sure if I can represent all of Brazil, but I'll try.
All right, as much as you can, you know what I mean? And look, and definitely let bro man know when Carnival, you know what I mean? And let's see, Nikki, good to see you once again. I'm glad you're back. Will you come and join us and do some more podcasts? Is that a yes?
Sure.
You thinking about it? Okay.
She said yes.
Okay. All right, my internet is shot.
Yeah.
Fonts.
You already know. You already know, man.
That's what's up.
Anytime you allow me to come back, man, I'm running back.
That's what's up. Really appreciate you. Fonts is a great brother. We worked with him on a huge project for the city doing virtual graduations. And Fonts, next time you come on, will you once you're over the once we're past the PTSD part of it, will you share some of the stories, some of the things that we had to go through and trying to make these virtual graduations happen, both good and bad, right?
Absolutely.
Love to have you back. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, Big O keeping you in the know. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Big O.
yes.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm not
just to say, you're not gonna be going to Carnival. You're gonna be going to Coronavirus if you keep the way this thing is going.
You ain't lying about that one. Yeah. So yeah, once again, it's your man KI from Bed-Stuy. Slow motion for me. Love y'all. See you on the next one.
Nice meeting you all.
Gia.
All right, guys.
Right.
Be
Yes,
easy.
I want to thank my
Thank you.
producers. Yep, thank you. Anna Banana and Bumpy, as well as Big O. See you soon, baby.
You've been listening to Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. We hope you got what you needed. Make sure you subscribe. Holla at you next week.